3 words no one ever expected to hear: Harry is back. After years of self-imposed exile, public fallout, and relentless headlines, Prince Harry's sudden return to London has sent shockwaves through the monarchy. And this time it's not a diplomatic visit or a gesture of reconciliation. This return is darker, deeper, and intensely personal, driven by a truth buried for decades, one the palace never wanted him to uncover. His discreet arrival at RAF North came without ceremony or public schedule, under tight security, signaling that this was not a homecoming meant for applause, but for reckoning. Those who witnessed him step off the plane noticed something unmistakable in his posture: not anger or defiance, but certainty. Inside royal circles, panic reportedly spread faster than any official response, with senior aides scrambling to confirm what they already feared. This was not a courtesy visit, but a man returning home because he had learned something he could no longer carry alone, something that rewrote the story he'd been told since childhood. Outside Clarence House, the signs were impossible to ignore as unexplained reinforcements of royal protection appeared. Journalists sensed blood in the water. Cameras waited for statements that never came, and the palace, usually so quick to control the narrative, fell into an unsettling silence. The palace chose silence, and in that silence, speculation grew louder by the hour. But what unsettled those closest to the situation most was Harry himself. Gone was the lost, conflicted figure the public believed. They knew his expression was neither somber nor joyful, but focused and controlled, as if the final pieces of a long-hidden puzzle had locked into place, leaving no room for doubt or retreat. Whatever he had learned had stripped away hesitation and replaced it with resolve. Behind closed doors, whispers spread, staff exchanged uneasy glances, and long-buried memories resurfaced as decisions once justified as necessary suddenly felt dangerously fragile, the kind that shatter the moment truth enters the room. This return didn't feel spontaneous. It felt inevitable, the collision point of events set in motion years ago. Those who believed Harry had moved on were forced to confront a harsher reality. He hadn't returned to relive the past, but to confront it. As palace walls seemed to hold their breath, one chilling thought echoed through every corridor of power: he knows now, and he will not be silenced again. But what exactly did Harry discover, and who kept it hidden all these years? What if everything he believed about his past had been carefully constructed? Sources close to Highgrove Estate allege that a sealed royal document, never meant for Harry's eyes, was recently uncovered by accident. Its contents were said to contain explosive revelations about the very foundation of his identity. It began with a single name that was never supposed to reach him, delivered in a quiet call from a longtime Highgrove staffer to his legal team, a call that offered little more than a warning, a hint, and a location, yet enough to change everything. Investigators were soon led to a forgotten storage vault in the estate's eastern wing, where they discovered something chilling. A sealed envelope bearing the late Queen's crest and marked Operation Guardian. The phrase alone sent a shiver through those who saw it, as it was unknown to any public royal protocol, remembered by no one beyond a tightly guarded inner circle. And yet there it was, buried among old estate records beneath layers of deliberate obscurity. The label alone shocked Harry's team, an internal memo bearing the name Charles Windsor, and dated just weeks after Diana's death, and what followed was even more disturbing. Inside was a dossier that didn't merely suggest secrets, it screamed them. Pages heavily redacted, others marked by legal advisors' handwritten notes, and most haunting of all, a single handwritten letter from Diana herself, a voice long silenced. Its contents were not just emotional but strategic, revealing that Diana had sensed something being orchestrated behind her back, something involving her youngest son. Her warnings extended beyond the press and beyond Camilla, pointing instead to institutional decisions designed to shield Harry from a truth she believed he deserved to know when the time was right. The backlash was immediate as lawyers within the Crown's legal apparatus scrambled to contain what they now realized had slipped through the cracks. But it was already too late. A long-standing injunction meant to bury the file indefinitely had been quietly lifted last month. No announcement, no press, just a single line erased from the legal ledger. Harry didn't flinch. His reported first words cut through the room like ice. "I had a right to know, and now the world will too." There was no rage, no theatrics, only the cold certainty of a man whose past had been manipulated, reshaped, and sanitized for palace convenience. Yet before the contents of the file could be fully revealed, a more unsettling question emerged: who had worked so tirelessly to keep it from him, and why? The British monarchy is no stranger to secrets, but this one threatened to eclipse them all. exposing a culture of silence where even those closest to Harry were allegedly involved in a cover-up designed to protect the crown at his expense. As the Highgrove documents unraveled layer by layer, a pattern became impossible to ignore. Deliberate omissions, coordinated silence, and a network working in concert to keep Harry blind to the truth. It no longer looked like oversight. It looked like conspiracy. Most chilling of all was a reference buried in the personal journals of Princess, and, quietly passed to Harry, by a sympathetic staff member, 6 words written in 2003 that froze everyone who read them. The exile pact must hold. He cannot know. The entry raised a haunting question that lingered in the air. What, exactly, had they agreed to exile him from? Guardian not only of the crown's traditions, but of its deepest deception. The role now appeared far more damning than anyone had imagined. Even more unsettling were comments attributed to William, allegedly captured off camera during a tense production meeting for a royal documentary, when he reportedly muttered, "That part of the story can never come out, it would ruin everything." Once dismissed as stress, the remark is now viewed as a veiled admission, casting him not just as a brother, but as a silent participant. Then there was Camilla, always careful, always composed, yet sources allege she played a crucial role in preserving what she called emotional stability within the firm. A phrase that in practice meant steering conversations away from sensitive subjects tied to bloodlines, paternity, and legacy. In 2019, following a rogue European tabloid article, she allegedly advised aides to redirect. Press attention away from DNA speculation. Warning, we cannot allow this to become an international spectacle. Legal advisors were also implicated, with former royal attorneys reportedly instructed to deflect or delay any inquiries related to birthright documentation or succession clarity, while even routine biographical checks were quietly stonewalled under the guise of protecting family privacy. Yet that veil concealed something far more calculated. The most devastating blow came when Harry learned that Queen Elizabeth's final private letter, handwritten, sealed, and given to every senior royal in the days before her passing, excluded him entirely. Whether omission or enforcement of the pact, no explanation was offered, but the message was unmistakable. When Harry shared this with Meghan, her response cut through the palace like lightning. They played him like a pawn. Years of conflict, exile, and media warfare suddenly appeared not as chaos, but as strategy, deliberate moves to keep the truth dormant. And all roads led back to one man, the father Harry still called Pa. In a secluded wing of Balmoral Castle, a quiet but life-altering conversation unfolded, heavy with decades of avoidance, unspoken truths, and emotional debris. Face to face with the man who had shaped his childhood and protected a carefully curated narrative, Harry demanded clarity. No aides, no press, no distractions, just father, son, and a truth that could no longer be buried. It was Charles who finally broke the silence, his voice low and weighted with regret and resignation, as he confirmed the existence of the Highgrove document, the beginning of a confession that would shatter everything Harry thought he knew. The sealed dossier, the name Operation Guardian, the posthumous letter from Diana, it was all real. And worse, it had been known all along. Charles confessed that he had read the file shortly after its creation, that he had approved it, and that he truly believed he was acting in Harry's best interest, insisting, "I was trying to protect you from pain." But Harry heard none of it as protection. He heard betrayal, a deliberate denial of agency, identity, and trust. His response was immediate and raw. "You chose duty over truth." The accusation landed like a thunderclap, not as a son challenging a king, but as a child confronting the man who had allowed him to grow up in the shadow of carefully maintained lies. Visibly shaken, Charles tried to explain the impossible, describing the chaos after Diana's death, the monarchy teetering on the brink, frantic discussions about preserving the family's integrity, its public image, and a fragile line of succession. A different arrangement had been proposed, one Diana had opposed, but enacted after she was gone. It wasn't about scandal, Charles insisted. It was about survival. To Harry, it sounded like yet another justification for deception. He asked the question that cut through everything. Was I part of the plan? Charles didn't answer. He didn't need to. The silence said enough. What followed was not a dramatic confrontation, but something far worse, devastating quiet. Charles pleaded for understanding, not absolution or sympathy, just a sliver of connection. But Harry turned away. He had come searching for truth, and now that he had it, the damage was irreversible. The reunion ended not with resolution, but retreat, as Harry walked out of the room without looking back, sources later revealing that Charles hasn't slept properly since. Since that night, sources say Charles has barely slept, pacing the halls of Clarence House into the early hours. Portraits of Diana quietly covered not out of disrespect, but guilt. The monarch is said to be haunted, not by public scrutiny, but by the image of a son who no longer sees him as a father, only as a keeper of secrets. Yet the truth reached far beyond lineage or legacy. It became the story of a mother's final act of rebellion. Diana may be gone, but she never stopped protecting her son. Her voice, preserved in private recordings and handwritten letters, has resurfaced, and what she reveals from beyond the grave changes everything. For years, whispers surrounded a private safety deposit box she secured in the final months of her life, sealed under a codename known only to a single trusted confidant. That confidant, now nearing the end of their life, finally reached out, insisting the timing was not coincidence but destiny. Inside the box was an unmarked cassette unmistakably hers, along with a letter addressed simply, "To my son, should they ever try to silence you." Diana had anticipated this moment, fearing they would erase her, reshape her memory, and bury her truth, yet knowing her voice might one day be the only weapon Harry had left. The tape begins softly, but her words carry the weight of 1,000 unshed tears. "If you're hearing this," she says, "they failed to bury the truth." She speaks not as a princess, but as a mother who feared what would happen once she was no longer there to shield her children from forces she believed were growing bolder by the day. She outlines her suspicions in devastating detail of a royal arrangement designed to separate her emotionally and strategically from her sons, to control their narrative, diminish her influence, and preserve the crown's image at all costs. Her love for William is clear, but it is her focus on Harry that cuts deepest. "They think you won't ask questions," she whispers, "but I know you will." Then comes the line that shatters everything. "Not your uncle, your father." A name left unspoken in the official record, yet implied with chilling clarity. She never confirms it outright. She doesn't need to. The suggestion alone is enough to unravel the foundation of everything Harry once believed to be true, and she ends with a single wish, one so simple, yet so devastating that nothing, and no one, should ever take his truth from him again. The final words on the tape were heartbreakingly human, lingering long after the cassette fell silent. "I only ever wanted you to be free, not royal, not controlled, just free." Those words struck harder than any headline, any betrayal, or any cold exchange behind Balmoral's walls. For Harry, this was not merely validation. It was liberation proof that the instincts that haunted him were never paranoia, but echoes of his mother's deepest fears, fears she had recorded, documented, and sealed away for the day she knew would come. With Diana's voice still ringing in his ears, Harry made a decision that would shake the monarchy to its core. He gave the palace 72 hours. Either they told the truth publicly, or he would. The ultimatum was not a threat. It was a declaration of war, a line drawn not by a prince, but by a son demanding justice. The message was delivered with surgical precision. A single email sent directly to the king's private secretary, marked urgent and confidential, no lawyers, no intermediaries, just 6 words that thundered louder than any press conference. "You have 72 hours. After that, I speak." Inside the palace, the walls didn't whisper, they screamed. The royal press office descended into chaos as contingency statements were drafted and discarded. Phones rang endlessly, and every department was placed on emergency standby. Yet the clock kept ticking, and, for once, the power was not with the crown. William, blindsided and furious, reportedly called Harry directly, the conversation quickly erupting into a shouting match. "Don't do this to us again," he allegedly snapped, invoking the fallout of past interviews, only for Harry to respond coldly, "You already did it to me." There was no compromise, only the resolve of a man who had watched the institution gamble with his life and his truth and finally chose to flip the table. Behind the scenes, Meghan played a decisive role, urging him to go all the way, not for revenge, but for release. "Let the truth breathe," she reportedly told him, "or it will rot you from the inside out." Panic spread elsewhere as Camilla's advisors, fully aware of the implications of Diana's tapes and the Operation Guardian file, pushed for caution, while Camilla herself allegedly demanded a wall, urging Charles to stop Harry at all costs through influence or law. But Charles, exhausted and cornered, had little fight left. "It's too late," he reportedly whispered. The House of Windsor stood paralyzed, split between damage control and dread, because Harry wasn't bluffing, and this wasn't a tabloid feud. It was about identity, betrayal, and a legacy warped behind palace doors. He didn't want a headline, he wanted truth. And when the footage finally aired, the world stopped. In a bold live-streamed address, Harry did what no royal had ever done. He told the whole truth, naming names, exposing secrets, and confronting the ghosts that had followed him for decades. There was no palace backdrop, no network anchor, no script polished by royal handlers, just Harry, raw, unfiltered, and defiant, speaking directly to millions as the broadcast spread across platforms within minutes. He didn't hesitate. He didn't soften the blow. He opened with a sentence that shattered generations of silence. "They lied to me, and they lied to you." His voice was steady, but beneath every word lay years of buried betrayal, as Harry laid out everything: Operation Guardian, the hidden Highgrove file, the coded entries in Anne's journal, the sealed safety deposit box preserving Diana's voice, and the final confrontation with his father behind Balmoral's iron gates. Names were spoken, dates confirmed, and then, with trembling hands and unwavering eyes, Harry read Diana's letter aloud. "I only ever wanted you to be free." The words reverberated across continents, carried by grief, fury, and a collective disbelief that something so sacred had been concealed for so long. Within hours, the internet erupted as hashtags surged across every platform: hashtag Royal Reckoning, hashtag Diana Knew, hashtag Justice for Harry, while newsrooms scrambled and influencers, journalists, and even world leaders reacted with shock, sympathy, and outrage. This was no longer tabloid drama, it was a global reckoning. Inside the palace, however, silence reigned for a full day: no statements, no rebuttals, nothing in absence that spoke louder than denial and confirmed for many that Harry's truth was not fiction, but a forbidden narrative the Crown had long feared would surface. Outside Buckingham Palace, crowds gathered with candles and signs reading "Tell the truth, Diana deserved better," and "End the silence." Not as a protest, but as a movement demanding transparency from an institution built on whispered corridors and velvet curtains. As the world absorbed the weight of what had been revealed, one truth became unavoidable. This was bigger than Harry. It was about trust, legacy, and the cost of silence. The royal family, once a symbol of stability, now stood at the center of an international storm no protocol could contain. Yet even as Harry spoke, a deeper fracture formed, one threatening the monarchy itself. William, facing a storm of his own, was caught between loyalty to the crown and the raw pain of a betrayed brother, and what followed stunned even his closest allies. In the immediate aftermath of the broadcast, William vanished from public view as all engagements were abruptly cancelled under the vague explanation of personal reflection. Insiders knew this was no routine pause, something had cracked. For the first time in years, the heir to the throne was not defending the monarchy, but retreating from it. Security at Anmer Hall was intensified, staff placed under strict blackout orders, and within those walls, William reportedly isolated himself for days, taking solitary walks and spending hours in his private study beneath photographs of Diana that still watched silently from the walls. The photographs of Diana still hung untouched by time, watching silently as everything began to fracture. Catherine, trying desperately to hold the family together, was said to be deeply worried, urging William to reach out to Harry not for appearances, but because she feared the widening rift would destroy them both. Yet even she could see the truth: William no longer knew where his allegiance lay. The institution that had defined his life was now the same one accused of breaking his brother. What finally broke him wasn't the headlines or the backlash, it was the footage. A source close to the family revealed that William sat alone replaying his mother's old interviews, the BBC Panorama footage, then watching Harry's broadcast beside it, past and present colliding in unbearable clarity. Diana's warnings, Harry's pain, the echoes were impossible to ignore. William demanded to see the original Operation Guardian file. Aides hesitated, unsure of protocol, but he insisted. After reading it, he reportedly left the room without a word, locked himself away for the rest of the night, and didn't speak to anyone until morning. What he read remains undisclosed, but those close to him say it changed everything. The tension inside him became unmistakable. The man groomed for silent strength now stood at a crossroads, questioning for the first time whether protecting the monarchy had come at too great a cost, not just for Harry, but for all of them. He knew what the institution demanded: stability, loyalty, silence. Yet another truth was awakening inside him, shaped not by titles, but by family, grief, and guilt. What Catherine feared most was now unfolding. William wasn't just shaken, he was thinking, planning, and according to one confidant, preparing to make a move no one inside the firm could anticipate. A decision not as heir to the throne, but as a son still haunted by a mother who once begged the world to listen. And as the brothers stood on opposite sides of history, the nation held its breath until the final twist arrived. In a move no one saw coming, the monarchy finally acted, not with punishment or exile, but with a shocking offer that could either reunite the House of Windsor or destroy it forever. Amid a global tailspin, a letter was quietly hand-delivered to Harry's team, not through press channels, not through lawyers, but via a personal envoy from the palace, sealed with the king's official crest, yet carrying a tone far from royal. The message was simple. The monarchy requested a private council, a conversation behind closed doors, away from cameras and chaos. Some saw it as an olive branch, others a trap. Meghan, reading the letter, was reportedly furious. Not again. Not this way, she warned Harry, recalling past interventions that promised peace but ended in silence, smears, and suffering. For Harry, however, it wasn't trust that made this different, it was timing. Rumours swirled about Charles's health. Whispers that the king was deteriorating both physically and emotionally, struggling through sleepless nights, missed briefings, and emergency consultations. Some claimed he had personally dictated the letter, each word written by a man who feared he might not have the chance to speak his final truth in person. The request was bold. A private reunion with William, no staff, no press, no recordings, just the two brothers confronting years of unspoken tension. After days of soul-searching, both men agreed, stepping into a room weighted with history, guilt, and fractured love. Catherine remained cautious, Meghan protective, yet even they felt the winds of change. Something irreversible was coming. Behind palace walls, conversations began about reshaping the monarchy for a new era. Discussions of painful admissions, unconventional reunions, and decisions once thought impossible. Advisors whispered of a contingency plan that could reposition Harry not as a prodigal son seeking forgiveness, but as a central figure in the crown's future. Yet this was not reconciliation, not yet. It was tension balanced on a knife's edge, where a single misstep could shatter what remained. And then, a final leak surfaced. A cryptic statement from a senior royal aide, anonymously published, hinting that Harry might be back for good, but not in any way anyone expected. No context, no clarification, just a line that rippled through royal watchers, constitutional experts, and the world at large. And so the saga continues. Truths revealed, bonds tested, secrets rising, leaving one lingering question: can a family built on silence survive a storm of truth?